I'm glad you've joined us on the interview. You may not realize it yet, but your life is about to change. Welcome to the interview. I am so glad that you have joined us this week. I have a special guest who you're going to fall in love with, has a heart for God and the zeal for Zion. And I want you to meet my dear friend, Rami Maimon.
How are you, Rick?
It's good to see you too, Rami. So, the people may not know anything about you. Let's talk about your background. I mean, you have a funny accent.
Oh yeah, thank God that I have a funny accent. That's how I found my girlfriend. She liked my accent. And my background actually started in Israel. I was born in Israel in 1976. I was born in Bnei Brak. Bnei Brak, it's a very religious city, one of the 2-3 most religious city in Israel.
South, north?
It's in the middle, next to Tel Aviv. It's in the central Israel, pretty much. We call it all the metropolitan of Dan, we call it. And I was born there, between a lot of Orthodox Jews, like my family. My family came all the way from Libya and from Yemen.
See, when I think of Libya, I don't think of Jews, a Jewish population there.
Oh, the Jewish population over there were really big.
Now?
No, now not at all. There is a very, very, maybe few families that stayed there, but in Africa, in North Africa, if we're talking about Algeria and Tunisia, and we're talking about Morocco and Libya, you had a very, very successful Jewish communities over there that did amazing things, not just to preserve the Jewish culture and the Jewish tradition and the Jewish religion in a far part of the world, far from Europe, also business-wise, and all the integration with the communities was pretty good for a certain time, until things changed.
Yes.
And in the I would say from the late 20th century, pretty much, things changed in a bad way.
What were some of the changes?
When it's all start with the way that religious leaders look at other religions in the territory that you live in the place that you live in. So if in Libya, my family came from Tripoli, Libya, a big city in Libya, they traded and they did business and their kids went to school with other kids and everything was like normal life, you know what I mean? And they even spoke Arabic and prayed in Hebrew.
Wow.
But they spoke Arabic until today when my dad and my grandmother speaking, they speak kind of Arabic from Tripoli a little bit, because that's the way that my grandma used to live, and that's the way that she used to communicate. And I believe that as you can see that in the Bible, I think that God expects us to be unique and individuals, but we need to live among other people and other nations.
Sure.
And I think the synergy of that, it's amazing, it's a good thing, and this is the way that I believe that my family saw the things in Tripoli. But things change, and from different attitude that you can see, things escalated, and you can see that kids, nobody liked them at school, and less people coming to my grandfather's business. And the reason for that, because they hear bad things about Judaism and Jews. And I don't think the Jews in Tripoli, Algeria, Morocco changed anything in their behavior, in their respect, to the place. Some of them were very, very close to the leaders in these places. In Morocco until today, there is a lot of Jews that were very close, but things changed. And things changed.
And anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism, a global anti-Semitism in a way, I can say, without the media that we can see today and the internet, but still in the late 30s and 40s, what happened in Germany and Europe happened also in North Africa.
Sure.
And that's what makes my family to decide, ask the question, is it the best place for us? Is it the best place that we can protect ourselves, live our life with dignity, and educate our kids to do the same thing?
You just brought up something important. I think many of us, when we think about the Holocaust, we think about Europe and Germany only. We don't remember that the Holocaust, Jews were killed all over the world.
Yes, sir. Jews were killed all over the world. I don't think that it was at this level in North Africa that we can see so many concentration camps and a big Nazi party that really has a voice on the media and all over. I do not think that this was the reality in North Africa. But I think the hate and the negative feeling toward Jews were buried deep inside. And I think they were deeper than the one in Europe in a way. And
really?
I think so. There was, in the Bible, in Genesis, you can say that God said pretty clear to Hagar, the mother of Ishmael, we're not gonna be the best friends, and the other side gonna live on his sword all the time and gonna be violent. And I think it's a deep message that was deep inside, especially for if you're talking about Jews that live among Muslims and Arabs. I think.
Actually what you said makes more sense than understanding why Germany would have accosted and then tried to annihilate the Jews. Actually, it makes more sense. The Aryan race, that kind of thing of why would they be so anti-Semitic, that doesn't make near as much sense as knowing that there's an Arab-Israeli conflict. There always has
always
been.
was.
Yes.
But when we did not have any Jewish state, when the Jews were in diaspora, small communities all around the world, it's easy to control them. It's easy.
Oh.
It's not a threat like you can see in Europe. It's less threat when you speak Arabic. As a human being, if somebody speaks your language, he's closer to you, And I think that was a surprise in a way in North Africa. But once it happens and it got worse, I think a lot of Jews in Africa ask themselves, what should we do now? And some of them just decided to go somewhere else. And Israel as a Jewish state was not established then, but there was talks about it. But we just need to go from here. And my family found themselves in doing ways from Tripoli, Libya, through Europe and other places, and finally in the early 50s came to Israel. Some of them came in the late 40s, but there was a lot of troubles back then in North Africa. Yes, it less on the news and less on the media, and people think that it was in Europe. There was a big part of it also there. And I think it was, in the end of the day, I think it was a good thing. Because when my grandfather came to Israel, I can say, he chose to move to a big city where he can focus on education, modern life, and speaking Hebrew. And I think in the end of the day, to see now, today in Israel, when I go to my grandmother's house, so we celebrate Rosh Hashanah or Passover, And this couple that came from Tripoli, they have in their house today every holiday about 60, 70 people, all family members, because my grandmother has 9 kids. So I think it was good in the end of the day. It was sad, and there is a lot of bad stories, but I think sometimes surgery it hurt, but I think the cause,
essential.
It was a good, to save the Jewish people, to save the tradition, the religion, the way, the halakha. There was nothing more important than that. And sometimes before you get a good things, you need to have a disaster before that.
Explain what halakha means.
Halakha, it comes from the word in Hebrew to walk, lalechet. What I love about Judaism that God asked me, wherever you go, when you're sleeping, when you're getting up, I want you to have me there. And I think it's very, very important to understand that Judaism, it's not a religion. Judaism, it's a way to walk through this life and to maximize the benefit of you and the world and the people around you by walking through this way. I truly believe that little thing, that gifts that God gave us, from washing the hands before we eating bread, that saved Jews from dying in Europe.
In the plague?
Yep. And the Sabbath, it's a gift. And when my father tell me, hey, I want you to rest one day and I want you to wash your hands before you do that, it makes sense to me, and I understand that it's not a check mark once a week. It's a way to live life. It's a way to pay attention. It's a way to be, not to take things for granted, especially today. And I'm trying to give this example to a lot of people. Because of the Jewish way, I remember every day that my bread is not growing in United Supermarkets shelves. It's an everyday miracle to see a wheat that can produce a seed, that can produce a seed. And we are, as a human being, our job in this world, to find a solution how to take this wheat, make it a bread, and make us happy and other people happy. That's what I believe. If we will be able to look at these things and understand that this is the way that you should walk in life, I think the world would be better, you know. And I trust this God like I trust, even more than I trust my mechanic, because I know nothing about cars, but he wrote the manual, and this is what my dad told me, so we're trying to walk through that. And
a couple of things. One is, I like what you said about that Judaism is not a religion, because I think oftentimes when we think of a religious perspective, it's a philosophy. It's how I view things. But Judaism is more than how you view things. It's the moment-by-moment expression of living before a creator. And that's much more than a philosophy. The second thing I was observing as you were talking is, I would say probably twofold. One is that Judaism is the only faith, instead of using the term religion, the only faith that was created by the Creator. Everything else comes from man-made ideas of how to approach God. And then the other part to that, and I'll finish, is I think when people who are not either within Judaism or very, very close to Judaism have taken it on themselves. Like I'm a Christian, but I have taken on every aspect that I know of up to this point of that lifestyle because I see it lived out through the Bible. I see that being God's patent on life.
It works.
Yes. So, but I think when a person is outside of it and either just studying it or observing it, or hearing about it or talking about it, they often get the concept that Judaism is about a list of do's and don'ts. And I have been around my Jewish friends for well over a decade, and I've never observed that.
But first of all, I think it's a very, very true observation, and I think you were lucky to be exposed to so many different people throughout your life, and by knowing you, I know and I see the way that you act. But not everybody lucky like that. And when you read the Bible or you read Shulchan Aruch, it's a Jewish set of rules that Rabbi Caro tried to take and put it together. It's the oral Torah that we got. Yeah, it looks like a set of rules. Yeah. So what? If I'm a coach in a basketball and I want to have the best player, how dare I won't give him a set of rules that you can do 6 fouls, you have 24 seconds for the offense, and this is what you need to do. Without these rules, you won't be able to reach higher and makes your God happy, your family happy, yourself happy, and the people around you and the world happy. And yeah, it's a way to look at that as a set of rules. Yeah, but what is this set of rules? That somebody tell me, hey, you have to take a day off? Somebody that tell me, do not murder, do not steal? Yes, most of it, I understand it. I understand why not to steal. I understand why not to murder. If I can clearly understand everything, but I believe that if I know that I need to change oil in my car every month or 3 months, even without knowing anything about cars, but guess what? I'm gonna do it. Why? Because I know that's gonna work. And if you look throughout the history and you see the way that all these rules work, in the end of the day it works. But people forget 2 things. There are very strict rules in Judaism, but the big challenge, I believe, for the rabbis and the scholars in Judaism, how you put together Judaism, old school rules of slavery and stuff like that, and offering and sacrifice with modern life. Elevators on the Sabbath, it's not mentioned in the Bible. But the great thing about the Torah and about the Bible, it's not just a set of rules. It's a constitution. It's a way that God wants you to think in a situation that you will be. What is your God expect you to do in this situation? And we have to understand that there is a lot between the rules, on the sides of the rules, behind the rules, that we have to take with us. And I think Judaism understands the essence of the rules. And also Judaism let scholars argue and ask questions about the rules, and there is nothing bad about it. As long as we agree on the most important thing behind the rules. What is the essence behind it? What is the importance of Sabbath?
That's what is known as the spirit of the law.
Yes, sir.
Yes. That is what that term means. Yeah.
And I think, when you asked me earlier, what is halakha? And I said it's the way to walk in life with the amazing book that we got in Sinai. It's exactly to realize, like I remember my dad every day, and sometimes in life when you need to get a decision, sometimes me in age of 40, sometimes I say to myself, what my dad would do in this situation, what my dad would expect me to do in this situation. I think when I'm supervising employees, I want my employees to be with me as a manager in their head more than physically next to them, because I want them to decide in the way that I think would be best in this situation, even without my presence over there.
Yeah, good.
And I think this is a great key in Judaism. You won't see your God physically, and He won't blink at you tomorrow morning, but walk through this life with what He gave you, and remember that He's there. And if you don't have answers, try to take all this set of rules and all this constitution, or the spirit as you say, and try to say what would be the best thing to do in this situation. And I think in the end of the day, Judaism, besides rules, give you the best tools to be happy, family-oriented person, successful person, that don't take anything for granted and ask questions. But don't forget, with so many questions, what was the essence of the things.
There's so many directions we could go with this time together. I'm noticing that we have like 7 minutes left. It just goes so fast.
Always good talking to you.
Always good. So fast. What is one of the central things within your faith that helps guide you on a daily basis?
The fact that I could ask questions. The fact that I could ask the hardest questions and sometimes don't understand things. Nobody yelled at me ever, "Why are you asking these questions?" And I think the open for discussion and the understanding that God gave you the Torah and a set of rules and all these things, beautiful things. Today when we have law, we need judges sometimes to explain us what this law says.
It's true.
We don't have these judges in the everyday life. We have our Father, our God, and we have us as human beings with enough people around us. But I think the fact that I can ask questions and sometimes give the answers, and the fact that as a Jew, I stand in front of God as my Father, and He's gonna judge me for that, I think make me feel good about Judaism. And when God says, you choose life in the Torah, I sometimes take it to individual command that each one of us should do whatever makes him feel alive. And this is, my life is different than somebody else's life, and each one chooses something else, but this is what I truly believe, that they're open for questions and discussions and changes in a way, in a very strict religion, but there were changes, you know. The Sabbath today, it's not the Sabbath like 100 years ago. But guess what? The idea is the same, because in my family, in Kiddush at Friday night, you won't see the cell phones around the tables. So for me, it works. That's for me.
You and I have, I think, a really special relationship.
I agree.
And our respect for each other. As we talk through things, we're very like-minded.
Agree.
What would you say are the challenges that Jews and Christians face in understanding each other? And what do you think the accomplishments have been in the recent years?
It's a great question. I think I witnessed in the last 10 years here in Texas, and I was in New York for 2 years too. There is a change as far as I know Christianity. But in the last 2 years, I see another change that go to a different direction. I try to simplify it. In the last few years, I see more Christians that are trying to understand better the Jews and get closer and understand that there is probably something that we need to put a circle around both of us, not just around Jews or Christians. But I think some Christians and some leaders get close to Judaism, and sometimes they're afraid to get too close. And I find myself in the last year especially, in some situation that we do not agree on a lot of things. But I try to remember one thing. 99% of the things, we agree on the same thing. Two Jews not gonna agree on 99% things together.
Two Jews, three opinions.
Exactly. So having Christians around me, it's a bless. It's a gift to have Christianity in this world. Just imagine the world without Christian, only Jews and Muslims, and you go back to Tripoli. You know what I mean? But the challenge today, I think, despite the differences and the difference in belief, let's focus on the thing that we have in common. We want a peaceful world. We want to take the medical field, the agriculture, to move it on, to do good things for this world, for the future generations. That's a very, very important key for me as a Jewish that live among Christians. And by the way, I learned a lot about my Judaism through being with other Christians.
Different set of eyes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Always good.
Yes.
Always good.
And if we're afraid, I think, to challenge what we believe, that probably says something about the real stability or lack of in what we actually believe. So I think challenging ourselves, challenging our faith, challenging some of the things, maybe misconceptions we may have, is extremely healthy, and it's very Jewish.
I think you're right, and I appreciate that. And you know, I would love that to see more and more people like you that they have principle and they have their beliefs, but they can interact with the world. And I can call you brother, and you can call me brother, and I really mean to that. But some people, I wish they won't be afraid, to reach out to somebody that is different than you. After all, we all have the same body structure, you know what I mean? We just need to focus on the things in common that we have. And that's what I hope I'm going to see more and more.
I hope so too. Rami, it's good to talk to you. We need to do this again. There's so many areas we could talk about and discuss.
I would love to talk to you every time that you want to.
I'm so glad you joined us this week. Rami has been such a dear friend of mine and a man of honor, a man of integrity. And I wanted you to meet him. When we hear people's stories and how they stand up for the truth and want to live their life for God, it encourages us to do the same. And so I hope and I pray that this episode has caused you to also want to challenge where you're at and move forward and change the world around you. God bless you. We'll see you next week. Shalom, shalom.